My Lord and my God, I firmly believe that you are here, that you see me, that you hear me. I adore you with profound reverence. I ask your pardon for my sins and the grace to make this time of prayer fruitful. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me. Lord Jesus Christ, I want to begin this conversation thanking you for yet another opportunity that you give us through your church to celebrate our Blessed Mother Mary. I call her our Blessed Mother because you are the one who willed that she be my mother too. To be precise, this happened when you told St. John, who represented the whole of humanity, "Behold thy mother." And so we celebrate our Blessed Mother as we remember her, especially in this day, in the feast of Our Lady of Guadalupe. Just a few days ago, to be precise, on the 9th of December, we celebrated Saint Juan Diego, who was an important figure in the story of the Vision of Guadalupe back in the year 1531. And Jesus, I love going through that story because it's such a beautiful story of your providence through your mother. And because we have little time for now, I shall just recall a few of the details from that story that are so telling of your love and your mercy and of our mother's tender care for us. So the general setting is the present-day country of Mexico, and to be specific, in an area that was inhabited by the Aztec Indians. It was during the time of the exploration as well as the evangelization of the New World. It was a few years after the Spanish conquistadores had defeated the Aztecs, and there had been deep wounds that had been opened because of the violence, bloodshed, and death. A mutual suspicion ran deep, which didn't make it any easy for the task of evangelization. That was when Our Lady made her move. On December 9, 1531, Our Lady of Guadalupe appeared to Saint Juan Diego, an Aztec Indian who was docile, poor, and humble convert to the Catholic faith. Juan Diego was on his way to Mass, and he told Our Lady as much. And Jesus, I know it pleases you when I tell Our Lady that, Mother, I am on my way to the holy sacrifice of your Son, the Mass. Our Lady's response to Juan Diego was precious. She smiled approvingly and said, "Know for certain, dearest of my sons, that I am the perfect and perpetual Virgin Mary, Mother of the true God, through whom everything lives, the Lord of all things, who is Master of heaven and earth." Jesus, that right there is some deep theology. Then our Blessed Mother made known her intention. She continued and told Juan Diego, "I ardently desire a temple be built here for me, where I will show and offer all my love, my compassion, my help, and my protection to the people. I am your merciful Mother, the Mother of all who live united in this land, and of all mankind, of all those who love me, of those who cry to me, of those who have confidence in me. Here I will hear their weeping and their sorrows, and I will remedy and alleviate their sufferings, necessities, and misfortunes. Therefore, in order to realize my intentions, go to the house of the Bishop of Mexico City and tell him that I sent you, and that it is my desire to have a teocalli, which means a temple, built here. Tell him all that you have seen and heard. Be assured that I shall be grateful, and I will reward you for doing diligently what I have asked of you. Now that you have heard my words, my son, go and do everything as best you can." And so we learn that Juan Diego bowed very low and said reverently, "My Holy One, my Lady, I will do all you ask of me." And then he took off, descending on that rocky slope of Tepeyac, and went in wonder towards Mexico City. This reminds me of one of the alternative Gospels for today, taken from the first chapter of the Gospel of Luke, where we read that Mary set out and traveled to the hill country in haste to a town of Judah, where she entered the house of Zechariah and greeted Elizabeth. So Jesus, I ask you to help me have this sense of urgency when it comes to fulfilling your will. Let me not delay things, take things in a sort of a laissez-faire way, but rather to see that doing your will is the greatest thing that I can ever do here on earth, and of course in heaven. After a couple of meetings with the good Bishop Zumarraga, the bishop cautiously asked for a sign. After each of those meetings, Saint Juan Diego will report back to Our Lady, and he will express his anguish at not being able to convince the bishop to build a temple in honor of Our Lady. And our Blessed Mother always looked at Saint Juan Diego with a tender smile, and she would encourage him not to give up. When Saint Juan Diego told Our Lady about the bishop asking for the sign, Our Lady answered and said, "That is very well, my little son. Return here tomorrow and you will have the sign he requested. Then he will believe and no longer doubt or suspect you." So Juan went home full of joy. But when he got home, he was horrified to see his uncle lying seriously ill, and got very worried because even after the village physician had looked at his uncle and tried his best to alleviate the suffering of his uncle, he didn't get any better. In fact, he got worse. And so the following day, towards sunset, Juan Diego was convinced that his uncle was dying, and so he decided to go look for a priest so that the priest could hear his confession and give him the last sacraments. And so on the morning of Tuesday, December 12th, 1531, Juan Diego ran to look for the priest. And as he approached Tepeyac Hill, he had to come to a decision regarding this dilemma that had been troubling him, which was, does he stop and speak with Our Lady, and then that meant that a further delay in terms of getting the priest to attend to his uncle, or does he speak with Our Lady and then run the risk of getting to the priest a little late, and therefore the uncle not getting the sacraments on time? So he took the decision to skirt the hill and that way avoid Our Lady and will see her on his way back. But then Our Lady, as a good mother, appears to her and asks him, "What is the matter, my little son? Where are you going?" And Jesus, I can only imagine the embarrassment of Saint Juan Diego, and I admire Saint Juan Diego's sincerity. He tells Our Lady all his fears and anxieties, and he even asks her for forgiveness because of his doubts. What is even more impressive is the response of Our Lady. She says, "Do not be troubled or weighed down with grief. Do not fear any illness or vexation, anxiety or pain. Am I not here who am your mother? Are you not under my shadow and protection? Am I not your fountain of life? Are you not in the folds of my mantle, in the crossing of my arms? Is there anything else you need?" Then Our Lady paused, smiling at him, and she added, "Do not let the illness of your uncle worry you, because he is not going to die of his sickness. At this very moment, he is cured." And so it happened. The uncle of Saint Juan Diego was totally cured. She then directed Saint Juan Diego to a spot where he was to collect flowers. Our Lady herself arranged them in his tilma. A tilma was a garment worn at the time that looked like, for lack of a better word, an apron. When he finally got to the bishop and showed him the sign, the bishop was left speechless, and even more so when there appeared on Juan Diego's tilma the glorious image of the Mother of Christ. This tilma, with the beautiful image of Our Lady, is venerated today in the temple built in honor of Our Lady. Mary, my Mother, may I always take refuge in your motherly protection. I thank you, my God, for the good resolutions, affections, and inspirations which you have communicated to me in this meditation. I ask your help to put them into practice. My Immaculate Mother, Saint Joseph, my Father and Lord, my guardian angel, intercede for me.